There are certain fighters in the UFC who had great success in 2017, where their performances stand out amongst the other fighters on the UFC roster. So here is 10 UFC Fighters of the Year 2017. Number 10. Ovince Preux started 2017 losing to newcomer Volkanovski Damir by a split decision at UFC Final 104. With 3 losses in a row, it was very crucial for OSP to win his next fight to remain with the promotion. He will next make his comeback and submit Marcus Rogério de Lima by a Von Flue choke at UFC Final 108. He will next submit Yushin Okami by another Von Flue choke at UFC Final 117, and next brutally knocked out Corey Anderson with the head kick at UFC 217. Ovince Preux went from almost being cut from the UFC to almost challenging for the title. It will be interesting to see how he progresses in 2018. Number 9. Darren Till started 2017 off with a dominant decision victory over Bojan Velikkovic at UFC Final 115. He was next given a main event slot against fan favourite Donald Cerrone at UFC Final 118. In the fight, he was able to just overwhelm Donald Cerrone with his superior striking skills, pulling off a TKO victory. This win shot Darren Till up the welterweight rankings, where I believe he's only a few wins away from securing a title shot. It will be interesting to see how Darren Till does against the killers in the top 10 welterweight division in 2018. Number 8. Volkanovski Damir made his short notice debut against Ovince Preux, where he scripted a split decision at UFC Final 104. He will next knock out Misha Sakunov in just 28 seconds at UFC Final 109, and next brutally knocked out Jimmy Manuwa in under a minute at UFC 214. With 3 dominant wins in the UFC in 2017, he will now face current UFC light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier at UFC 220. It is amazing to see that Volkanovski Damir was quickly able to surge up the light heavyweight rankings with only 3 wins. Daniel Cormier will be the biggest challenge for Volkanovski Damir, where it will be interesting to see how he performs in that title fight. Number 7. Rafael dos Anjos made the move up to the welterweight division after losing 2 fights in a row to Eddie Alvarez and Tony Ferguson. He made his welterweight debut, defeating Tarek Saffiedine by a unanimous decision at UFC Final 111. He will next make quick work of Neil Magny at UFC 215, winning the fight by arm triangle choke. And he most recently defeated former UFC welterweight champion Robbie Lawler by a unanimous decision at UFC on Fox 26. With 3 dominant wins in the welterweight division, I believe Rafael dos Anjos is the rightful number 1 contender in the weight class, where we should see him face the UFC welterweight champion Tyron Woodley in 2018. If this fight does happen, it will be interesting to see how Rafael dos Anjos will handle the terrifying power of Tyron Woodley. Number 6. Francis Ngannou came into 2017 with 4 violent finishes and was given a step up in competition, where he faced Andrei Arlovski at UFC on Fox 23. He passed the test with flying colours, where he brutally finished Andrei Arlovski by TKO. He was next given an even bigger test in Alistair Overeem at UFC 218, where he threw an uppercut from hell, flattening Alistair Overeem in the first round. With 2 violent finishes over 2 ranked heavyweights, he will now face current UFC heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic at UFC 220. Stipe Miocic will be the biggest challenge for Francis Ngannou up to date, where it will be interesting to see how he performs in the title fight in 2018. Number 5. Rose Namajunas came into 2017 with a split decision loss to Karolina Kowalkiewicz at UFC 201. She was given the opportunity to face Michelle Waterson in a number 1 contenders bout at UFC on Fox 24. In the fight, she was able to catch Michelle Waterson with a vicious head kick and sunk in a rear naked choke to get the finish. She was next given the opportunity to face then dominant UFC strawweight champion Joanna Jędrzejczyk at UFC 217. Joanna Jędrzejczyk had defended her title 5 consecutive times, where she looked unbeatable. Many didn't give Rose Namajunas a chance in this fight, as Joanna Jędrzejczyk had looked so dominant. At UFC 217, Rose Namajunas was able to land a heavy left hook, immediately dropping Joanna Jędrzejczyk to the ground, where she followed up with some punches, in which the referee was forced to stop the fight. Rose Namajunas had just shocked the world, where she became the new UFC strawweight champion of the world. Joanna Jędrzejczyk will likely get a rematch in 2018, where it will be interesting to see how both ladies perform in their second fight. Number 4. St Pierre announced in 2017 that he would be making his comeback at middleweight to challenge then UFC middleweight champion Michael Bisping at UFC 217. GSP had been the long-reigning UFC welterweight champion who was able to defend his title 9 consecutive times before vacating his belt to take some time off away from the sport. At UFC 217, GSP looked in phenomenal shape, where he was able to drop Michael Bisping in the 3rd round with a vicious left hook and immediately jumped on Michael Bisping's back and choked him unconscious, where he became the new UFC middleweight champion of the world. He became the 4th fighter to hold 2 titles in 2 different weight classes. GSP would later vacate his title after suffering an illness, as he didn't want to hold up the division. GSP had one of the biggest moments in 2017, where it will be interesting to see what his next move will be. Number 3. Robert Whittaker came into 2017 with a TKO finish over Derek Brunson at UFC Final 101. He had put together 6 dominant wins in the middleweight division and was surging towards the top of the middleweight rankings. He was next given a fight against dangerous grappling phenom Jacare Souza at UFC on Fox 24. In the fight, Robert Whittaker landed a vicious head kick, dropping Jacare Souza to the canvas, where he followed up with some punches to get the TKO victory. He was next given an interim title fight against dangerous Yoel Romero at UFC 213. Yoel Romero had just knocked out former UFC middleweight champion Chris Weidman at UFC 205, and he looked like a very intimidating force. At UFC 213, Robert Whittaker edged the fight in the striking, where he was given the unanimous decision victory. After GSP vacated his title, Robert Whittaker was promoted as the undisputed champion. He is now scheduled to face former champion Luke Rockhold at UFC 221. Robert Whittaker has had an amazing year in 2017, where it will be interesting to see how he progresses in 2018. Number 2. Demetrius Johnson came into 2017, where he had already racked up 9 consecutive title defenses against the best flyweights in the division. He was set to make his 10th title defense against Wilson Hayes at UFC on Fox 24, where he was able to submit the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt by an armbar in the 3rd round. Now that Demetrius Johnson had tied Anderson Silva's record of 10 consecutive title defenses, he was set to break the record, where his 11th title defense would be against Ray Borg at UFC 216. Demetrius Johnson was able to dominate the whole fight, where in the 5th round, he was able to lock in an armbar, which forced a tap. He had just broken the UFC record for the most consecutive title defenses, making him the most dominant champion of all time. He will likely face TJ Dillashaw in a super fight in 2018, where it will be interesting to see how he does against top bantamweight. Number 1. Max Holloway had just defeated Anthony Pettis at UFC 206 to become the interim UFC featherweight champion. He was next set to unify the titles against then UFC featherweight champion Jose Aldo at UFC 212. Jose Aldo had dominantly defeated Frankie Edgar at UFC 200, winning the title. With Jose Aldo's dominant performance, many didn't give Max Holloway a chance against Jose Aldo, as he looked like a dominant force in the featherweight division for many years, where he was able to defend his title 7 consecutive times before losing to Conor McGregor. At UFC 212, Max Holloway started off very slow, where Jose Aldo won the first 2 rounds. Max Holloway came back in the 3rd with a flurry of punches, which dropped Jose Aldo. He next followed up with punches, where the fight was immediately stopped. He was now the undisputed UFC featherweight champion of the world. After Max Holloway's next opponent Frankie Edgar pulled out of the fight due to an injury, Jose Aldo was given the opportunity to step in and face Max Holloway in a rematch at UFC 218. In their rematch, Max Holloway looked so relaxed, where he was landing clean shots and was just 1 step ahead of Jose Aldo. He was able to drop Jose Aldo in the 3rd and finish the fight by TKO to successfully make his first title defense. Max Holloway has had the best year by far, as he was able to finish the former best pound-for-pound fighter in Jose Aldo twice in a spectacular fashion. It will be interesting to see how Max Holloway progresses in 2018, and it will also be interesting to see how long he can keep the blessed era alive.